All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, and that is who the world English calls God. Bahashem, meaning in the name, Yahweh Shai, meaning He is our salvation, and that is who the world also ignorantly calls Jesus a so-called black man, who, by the way, only came for the Israelites, all right? Now, what brings us to our discussion / topic this evening tonight is this conference that was held at the White House several weeks ago, 3 to be exact, and it's very becoming of what they said in these first 9 minutes, which I'm going to play and let you hear, because now you're seeing it come to pass, all right? And Trump said from this point when he had this conference that it would take 4 to 5 weeks, and we're seeing exactly what this devil is putting into place of how he's trying to come into cities, predominantly these cities where Jake reside at, so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, and under the auspice or cover of cleaning up the cities, he's also rounding up citizens that they're not intending to go after, but in the midst of going after the criminals, they're rounding up civilians, and if they have warrants or arrests, they're taking them in as well. Okay, so this is the cover of them coming in and setting up shop and establishing martial law so that they could have a police-like state where they could stop and frisk those people that are just going about their everyday business, but because they're executing a warrant per se, they can ask you for your name and see if you got any type of warrants or any type of felonies or anything of that nature and put you in, custody as well. So I'm going to let these first 9 minutes play, and then we're going to get a few precepts, and then we're going to probably end up and close it out. So pay very close attention.
This task force will be a replica of our extraordinarily successful efforts here. And you'll see it's a lot of the same thing, although the numbers here are really something. They're really bad. Now, we did send FBI in about 4 months ago to work, and it brought some of the numbers down, and they did a great job, but we're sending in the big force now. We also sent them into Chicago on a sort of a moderate basis, and we brought down crime a little bit in Chicago, but we're now going to bring it down very big. We're going to be doing Chicago probably next. I was with a great businessman, a man who is involved in all cities through his business. And I say, who do you think should be next after Memphis? And he said, sir, you've got to save Chicago. We're going to wait a little while. But he said, you got to save Chicago. You can't let it go. And this is a very prominent man that everybody knows. And this from another man in Memphis was saying, Bill, he was saying, very interesting, he's on the board of FedEx. And his hotel is about a block away. And he said, when I walked there, I said, I don't want to do this again. I never want to do it again. And they won't let me walk there. They take them in armored vehicles. They take the board members of FedEx in armored vehicles like a block away to the hotel. This shouldn't be the U.S. This shouldn't be the United States of America. The task force will be a replica, as I said, and it's going to be, I think, equally successful. This is a tremendous success we've had in Washington, I can tell you, and everyone knows it. And people in the White House that work here and other people that I know are calling me and thanking me. They're going out to dinners. They're doing things that they haven't done in years. The effort will include the National Guard as well as the FBI, ATF, DEA, ICE, Homeland Security investigations, and the U.S. Marshals, and more along the prosecutors. We're going to have DOJ led by U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Tennessee, who is here or not.
Okay, I just wanted to pause it to let you know they're putting together a task force to come after you Jakes, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, whether you are a criminal or not, all right? You just heard them name off a list of agencies that they're putting together to come in these cities and quote-unquote clean up the crime, but they're going to actually take those that aren't in the warrants or whatever they're looking for just because, all right? So this is very important to see. And this is not a game or a joke that we're telling you, all right? It's deadly serious because, hey, Jake gonna get jammed up, man. All right? You 2/3, you're gonna come to find out, all right? And I ain't just talking about the YNs. I'm talking about you individuals that scoff and mock at this truth. You're gonna see the Lord's gonna allow this madman to come in and really wreck shop, okay?
Here, who's that person here? That person's going to be very busy. So we're going to have U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Tennessee, and most importantly, Pam Bondi's here. She's heading it up, and she's doing an unbelievable job in every respect beyond this. So also worked with some of the members of the team right here on D.C., and we're very proud of that effort. We essentially had the crime down to a very low rate in 12 days. And within another 10 days after that, it was so incredible. And it continues at that level, and we're going to continue. We have to because it's our capital. This team will deploy the full powers of federal law enforcement agencies and enforcement generally to restore public safety and get dangerous career criminals off of our streets. We're going to get them off in 2020.
And this is how they're going to introduce themselves to the neighborhoods, to the cities, to the towns. We're here to get dangerous criminals off the streets. But in the midst of doing that, they're going to round up quote unquote innocent people that don't have anything to do with it. And they're going to find some way to throw you in the back of a paddy wagon and take you down to one of these detention centers. All right. So they're getting ready to set up shop. And like Yahushua said, when you see the abomination of desolation and the place where it ought not to be, let them that read this take heed, all right, and flee into the mountains. So we coming into these times where Esau, Edom is finna start showing a heavy presence of troops, of FBI, ATF, ICE, National Guards. This is going to be the new norm, okay? Until it boils over and individuals start getting tired of seeing them every day, every night. They go, they come. And it's always going to take us one Jake or one of these troops to start some. And here he is, insurrection, okay? This is what they're setting the stage for.
For Memphis had the highest violent crime rate, the highest property crime rate, and the third highest murder rate of any city in the nation. Other than that, they're doing quite well, thank you. A person is 4 times more likely to be murdered in Memphis, Tennessee today than in Mexico City. It's been, and you know Mexico City is not a cakewalk. It's been overrun with carjackings, robberies, shootings, and killings. There were 249 murders, 429 rapes, 5,616 burglaries, and 12,522 violent assaults in just the last little while in 2024 and in pieces of 2025. Where it's actually gotten worse until recently when we sent the FBI down to see what the hell is going on. Last month, a vicious thug carjacked an elderly woman parked at the movie theater, dragged her out of the car, and body slammed her into the pavement where she is still trying to recover. Probably won't be successful. So we're not going to allow this kind of savagery to destroy our society anymore. We're stopping it. We're doing it one by one. Time, but we want to go quickly. We don't want to lose Chicago. We're going to lose Chicago. We're going to lose places like you go to St. Louis. We're going to lose St. Louis. We're not going to lose.
Another predominantly black city, okay? You see in the theme or the motive is that what? We want to go to these so-called black, Latino, and Native American cities and we want to set up shop there, okay? Because this is the MO, this is their means of operation. This is what they looking to do, okay? They looking to get as many Jakes as they can, all right? And the Lord's allowing them to do it, all right? To what? To punish you 2/3, man. Because you had so much time to acknowledge the power of Yahweh and his only begotten son, Yahushua, and you still refuse to turn your head up at it. So what's going to take place? You're going to see troops showing up at your grocery store, at your wherever you at, all right, to the point that Jake's just going to be fed up, man, all right? And all it's going to take is that one incident. And as Trump said, if they spit, we hit. So he already gave them orders to what? If you need to take them down with deadly, force, go right ahead and do it, okay? So insurrection is on the way.
Want to save these places. You're going to lose them. It was the way the man said it. He was a very high quality man. I said, "Who would you do next?" He said, "Sir, do Chicago." You don't want to lose Chicago. We're not going to lose Chicago. So we're going to have to go very big, and we're going to go probably. We're thinking about it for next Pam. We're going to hold it off. We're going to do some of the smaller ones, and the truth is, our people are so good. Gaddy, you're doing a great job wherever you may be.
And I didn't mean to interject again, but eventually it's going to go through all 50 states, okay? Eventually, they're going to have troops in all 50 states. They're just starting off with these major cities that they saying that crime is at an all-time high. But eventually, the plan is to put it in martial law and govern and, police, military like state throughout the whole country, all right? This is where we're heading to, and you're seeing the beginning works of it right here, right now.
We're doing so good that I don't think we need too much practice, right? But we got to go and save our big cities, our great cities. Chicago's a great city, and we're going to make it great again very soon. And I think we can do that. Despite the tremendous size, I think we can do a real job, and we're going to give you the resources that you need. So with that, I'd like to just end by saying we're going to make Memphis safe again, and I'd like to ask Governor Bill Lee to say a few words, and then Pam can talk, and anybody else you'd like to talk to. We'll go through the whole list. We have all day long if we have to, because this is a very important thing. We have to save our.
And also I want to say money ain't an issue, because with that big, beautiful bill he signed, this is in the budget, okay? This task force is in the budget. They have billions of dollars to spend on this. So money is not an issue. So they can very well have this thing, set up and like you seeing it right now, spread incrementally throughout the whole country, okay? So it's here, okay? Jacob's Trouble, the beginning stages is here.
Country from violent crime. So, Bill?
Yes, sir. Mr. President, first of all, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your commitment for federal resources to the great city of Memphis. And it is a great city, and it has a great history and a great legacy. And we are very hopeful and excited about the prospect of moving that city forward. I've been in office 7 years. I'm tired of crime holding the great city of Memphis back. And I have spoken today with the director of the U.S. Marshals, with the director of the FBI, with General Bondi. We realize that this effort of multi-agencies that will combine the work of the Tennessee Highway Patrol and the local police department.
Multi-agencies. Let's listen to that again, and then he's listing off the names of these agencies that's coming together to form this task force to take you Jakes down.
When we come together, we realize that this effort of multi-agencies that will combine the work of the Tennessee Highway Patrol and the local police departments, when we come together, we can make significant change in our city and the city of Memphis, and that is a powerfully important thing for the state of Tennessee, and I want to say thank you.
This will be your proudest moment when we see you in 4 or 5 weeks, maybe sooner. You're going to see numbers that will drop and plummet.
You hear that? In 4 or 5 weeks. This was 3 weeks ago, so we're approaching that 4th week and that 5th week, and things is just going to escalate as we get closer and closer.
Like you haven't, just like we did in D.C.
I want to say thank you.
This will be your proudest moment when we see you in 4 or 5 weeks, maybe sooner. You're going to see numbers that will drop and plummet like you haven't, just like we did in D.C. They plummeted. Nobody can even believe it. And they're going to plummet. It'll be one of your really proud moments, and you've done a good job too. But this will be maybe your proudest moment.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
and the director, as the director said, the goal is sustained.
Right. Got to keep it.
Sustained crime lowering, and that with this effort, I believe we can get there we can finally get there for that city.
Yep, we're going to have it sustained, long time.
right.
And your people are going to get better and better, and your police force has been terrific. They're working with us very much, as you know. We started it, as I said, on a little basis, and we got it down quite a bit, but now we go in for the big march, okay?
And Director Patel and his team have done remarkable work so far.
That's
As
true.
you know, the numbers are great, and this will be one more step in the right direction for Memphis.
That's true.
Thank you.
They did a very good job. Thank you very much. Pam, please.
President Trump, at your directive, we went in, as you all know, to D.C. and took over the city of D.C., working hand in hand with Metro Transit Authority. All of the agencies represented here today got over 2,000 violent offenders, got over 200 guns off the streets of D.C., and D.C. is safe again. And now, Governor, working with you and working with our 2 U.S. senators and all of our agencies working hand in hand, we're going to do everything we can to make Memphis safe again. That was President Trump's directive to us, and it's easy to do when you're working with such great leaders. And Secretary Noem, you have been instrumental in this, and Director Patel has already been into Memphis and gotten so many violent offenders and guns off the street, and that's what started it. And working Stephen and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, thank you. We've all been going nonstop, working hand in hand together, and Gadi Seralta, Terry Cole, and Director Driscoll of ATF wearing 2 hats, and Pete Hegseth with the National Guard, all working hand in hand and being out there for a month. You can't tell who's with what agency but for the T-shirt they're wearing, because everyone's working hand in hand, and that's why we've been so successful. We're going to do that in Memphis, and we're going to get crime off the streets.
You see it? Working hand in hand. You can't tell who's with who, but with the name on the T-shirts. This is a complete, unison, one-minded construction task force that's coming for you so-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Make no mistake about it.
That's great. Thank you, Pam. Great
Thanks,
job.
President.
Christy, go ahead.
Mr. President, Memphis has a high number of trafficking, significant human trafficking.
All right, so that's going to be it. I'll tell you what, let's look up that word memorandum, see what that means, and then we'll get a few precepts. All right, so this is the definition of memorandum. All right, so this is the definition of memorandum.
Memorandum.
It goes into a written message in business or diplomacy, all right? And we see the memorandum that he had put into place by writing and signing it and saying that they're coming to these big cities to clean up the criminal behavior, which we know, as you see that video that I just put on there from TikTok, is that they're coming in there to say that, but they're doing something actual different from what they're saying. They're taking other people along with that, all right? So this is the devil speaking with a fourth tongue and showing his horns, okay? Now let's get a few precepts. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach, in the Apocrypha, chapter 14 and verse 7. It reads, "And if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly." See, so he's coming under the guidelines that we're coming in there to clean up the criminal behavior, the criminal act, to get these criminals off the street in these major cities to make America great again. It says,
and at the last he will declare his wickedness. Yes, but when he comes to do that, he's going to take those that they didn't come initially for, they're going to take them down too. Okay? Because why? That was their MO from the beginning. They just needed a reason or an excuse to enter into, okay, wherever it is they're going. Okay? So they're coming under the guidelines or the excuse of we're cleaning up America in these big cities. All right? We're taking it back one city at a time, one city at a time. Here it is, Memphis, then Chicago, then St. Louis, then probably more likely Atlanta, New York. Okay? So let's read it again. Ecclesiasticus 14:7. And if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly. He's not looking to do anything that help benefit you, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, except for put you in the back of a car and take you downtown. All right, book you and get you chipped and dipped, because that's where essentially and eventually it's all headed to. It says, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. Right. All these memorandums and executive orders and bills and legislations is all to come against you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. All right, because this time was prophesied in the Bible, Jacob's trouble. Okay, now this is Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1. This is Isaiah 10 and 1. It says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. See? And under these memorandums and these executive orders and these legislations and these Bill of Rights, they're all unrighteous decrees, all right? Because why? They're not set up for a system to be governed where everybody gets treated equal or fairly, all right? Because if that's the case, they would have these special task force throughout all major cities, okay? Whether it's crime or not, okay? Just for the well-being of solidarity, okay? Showing that we are here to, stand for the whole country, not just a quote-unquote so-called heavily populated area with criminals, all right? Because they have no intentions on going to these other neighborhoods where these Edomites reside at, all right? Because there's no Jake there. Or and if there is Jake there, there's only a small handful of Jake. All right. So they got the criminals, or these so-called criminals, right where they want them at. All right. And we know for the most part it's Jake, man. Okay. It's Jake. That's who they want. And this is the perfect guideline to allow them to come in and do other things other than what they said they're going to do. Okay. So woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed, right? And these laws are prescribed for what? To bring down, hell on Jake, because Jake don't know everything, man. Jake don't, have someone like a lawyer to sit down and tell them their rights. When they get brought into booking and the detectives tell them you have the right to remain silent, they don't understand that they actually have the right to remain silent. All right? They don't know. Because why? These detectives has been schooled in the art of deception. They can lie to you because they what? Are allowed to lie to you. Okay? So they gonna jam Jake up, man. All right? Right where they want him. Okay? And even if Jake stay quiet, more than likely he ain't got enough money to get a good lawyer. See? So this is exactly what they want. They want troops or the task force or that madman to come in and take people that don't know their rights, don't know they have rights, and don't know what to do with their rights. Okay? Get them booked, get them chipped, because they may say, well, you can always get a microchip. You see? Serve your time. Like I said, they got that Cognify, where you can put that brain microchip in your head and serve your time in 5 or 10 minutes. But in reality, it's going to feel like with that microchip, a year or two or however long the sentence is. So it says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievingness which they have prescribed. See, that's exactly what these laws are meant to do. All right. It's meant to be unrighteous to you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Now, do some of our people understand the law and understand how to navigate around it? Sure they do. But by and far, our people, for the most part, don't have a clue of what's getting ready to go down. That's why we tell them to stick to the word, man. See, the word is what protects you from these unrighteous decrees and from the grievousness that they prescribe. See, when you stick with the word, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, you ain't got to worry about this devil and all his manipulations and his tactics. All right? Because we have a power, we have a savior that's fighting on our behalf, man. See? So when the devil make his move, the Lord's going to defend us. Okay? So it says, I kind of want to get that precept now that I'm thinking about it. Let me see what it is. Let me see how to get it there. This is Isaiah 31 and verse 5. It says, as birds flying, so will Yahweh of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also he will deliver it, and passing over he will preserve it. See? So as long as we stay how we supposed to stay and keep these laws, statutes, commandments to the best of our abilities, we have an advocator on our behalf, and the Lord is fighting for us, you know, all the way up into the end when he shows up with the chariots and the so-called UFOs to take this man down. All right, because why? This man has prescribed unrighteous decrees, and it's all for the what's the word I'm looking for? It's all for the not detriment. Well, yeah, it's all for the detriment of Jacob. Okay, these laws, these bills, these memorandums, they're not for Jake benefit. They're to keep Jake oppressed, man. Okay, that's all what these unrighteous decrees that they're prescribing are meant to, just to keep Jake in a complete oppressed state. All right, Revelation 13 and 11 says what? And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And this is Rome all over again, all right? America. It says, and he had two horns like a lamb, which goes into his democracy, Republican and Democrat. And he spake as a dragon, right? Through what? His decrees, his draconian laws, his measurements, what we see and put into place right now, right before our very own eyes, and how they're going to roll up on Jake in these cities and dare Jake to do something, because Jake gonna feel like, you know, they be impressed, and they are, okay? But see, they don't understand. This is all biblical, and they're gonna look to fight against Esau, and Esau is gonna take Jake down, but Jake gonna get some of them as well, man. But see, when you don't have the Lord fighting for you, you don't stand a chance, all right? The Lord is gonna lift up that standard for the elect, not for a 2/3, all right? You ain't gonna see a 2/3 out here getting spiritual powers to put these, you know, task force agencies to flight, man. This is only reserved for the elect, man, of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and Jacob's gonna find out the hard way when these troops start coming in. All right. So did I finish that in Isaiah 10 and 1, which I believe I did? Yep. All right. So let's get this in Matthew 24. Is it? This is Matthew 24 and 15, red letter, so this is Yahweh Shai. It says, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Now, this happened back in 70 AD, but it's taking place again because now we're seeing that abomination, all right? These Edomites, all right, liken it to the Roman Empire, all right? They're starting to come into what? The so-called Black Latinos and Native Americans neighborhood, because Israel is a people before it's a place, all right? So it says, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. See, and this is where we went into Africa, all right? So we getting ready to come into a time where, hey, the Spirit's going to have to guide us and direct us, and we're going to be on the run, all right? Moving from one town to the next, okay? Because why? Persecution is on the way, okay? They're going to have posters, warrants, or however they're going to put out that makes it seem like the men of the Lord are wanted for such and such acts, treasons against this system, government, all right? Because what we're preaching and teaching, all right? So the time is coming, man, all right? When you claiming you an Israelite, but it ain't going to be popular in that time to be an Israelite, all right? To profess it openly, okay? We're going to see. I'm an Israelite because I wear my scarf around my head. I'm an Israelite because I got on fringes. We're going to see if you're going to be wearing your fringes and having a scarf wrapped around your head and all this and all that when all hell breaks loose, all right? Because the time is coming, all right? And Yahweh Shai warned us, okay? So I think that's going to be it. You know, we're going to finish up and wrap up and close out with 1 Peter 5 and 8. This is 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It reads, be sober, be vigilant. See, we're telling you this, okay? We're actually showing you how this man is walking you into martial law, all right? He's going to eventually invoke that Insurrection Act, all right? And it's going to spread from one city to one town to one state to another town to another city to another state until it's here across all America, all right? And we've been telling you this. And it says, be sober, be vigilant. See, you're going to have to understand when the time it is to move and when it's time to stay still. And how? You're going to have to listen to the Spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. The Holy Spirit is going to have to guide you. All right? Abba Rathasah, we of that number, the elect, we're going to be shown mercy through Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai and be directed and guided. Okay? So the time is coming, man. This ain't a joke. This ain't a game, okay? It's finna be real. So be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. See? That's the end game. They want to devour Jake, all right? They want to make war with the remnant of those that keep the commandment and have the faith in Yahushua, but they're going to fail miserably when they come up against the man of the Lord. The 2/3, yeah, they're going to get them. The YNs, the scoffers, the mockers, those that don't want to repent, those that don't want to acknowledge the name of the Father and the only begotten Son, they up for fair game. The Lord's going to hand them over to that cruel Lord, okay? So Trump setting up shop, man, and we coming into that 4th and 5th week. Okay, so you being warned, you know, stay circumspect, okay? Things about to really start to heat up, man. So with that, we're going to end and pray some more of us edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We're almost home. Shalom. Peace.